So this week, the American theologian and biblical scholar Walter Brueggemann passed away. And maybe I should have done this a long time ago, but because of that, it made me realize that I wanted to jump on, make a quick video, first of all, to express my deep appreciation for Brueggemann's writings and the way they've impacted the way I have thought about God, but also to take the chance to encourage anyone connected to our community and church who's not encountered his writings to do so. For me, the heart of Brueggemann's legacy goes back to his incredibly influential book, The Prophetic Imagination. That book came out more than 40 years ago, but when I got a hold of it in my 20s, it had a profound impact on me. He reframes the biblical prophets not as fortune tellers or predictors of the future, but primarily as challenges of systems. He argues that the prophets, what they do is they call out injustice and they point towards what could happen if we don't turn toward the way of God. And in that, they inspire us to move toward an alternative reality that's possible, one that's founded on hope and compassion and communal well-being for all of us. And in that, it's not just the words of the prophet themselves, but really this larger prophetic imagination of what's possible that they invite us to see through their writings. And that can then continue to animate the church today and call us to speak courageously to truth or of truth to power in a way that envisions the world that actually truly mirrors God's justice and mercy found in the writings of these prophets. Brueggemann also transformed at least how I approach and think about Scripture. He saw the Bible not as a static text with singular meanings, but as this sort of dynamic living dialogue. And maybe not even just a dialogue with Scripture, but actually this active dialogue with God through Scripture. In one of his books called The Unsettling God, he imagines God's self as a character within this story that is engaging in a real push and pull, where people are changed. God is changed by God's interactions with those characters. And this is an image of God we see throughout the Old Testament, but it's actually a reflection of the God who is in process with us, in relationship with us. Scripture, therefore, at least in his view, invites this continual reinterpretation and a thoughtful engagement, not a dogmatism that's locked in time, but an ongoing dialogue with Scripture and with our time and place wherever we encounter it from. And so in doing that, he challenged a lot of modernist interpretations that I think tried to reduce Scripture to very strict readings by encouraging us to have this sort of lively, reflective faith that would interact both critically in an academic way, but also creatively in this sort of poetic way with biblical text. Another major corner of Brueggemann's theology was his advocacy for social justice. And this, of course, came out of that prophetic imagination. But his writings highlight the need to address everything from economic disparities to environmental destruction in our world, to ongoing violence that surrounds us and systemic injustices all around us. His argument was that authentic faith changes how we see what's possible and then compels us to confront injustice so that we might pursue a more equitable, compassionate world, particularly for all of those vulnerable communities around us. And so beyond my own life and my ministry, I think Brueggemann's insights have profoundly shaped contemporary theology, preaching, and even church practice to some extent across denominations and traditions. He's got a stack of awards and honors to attest to that influence, but probably most importantly, at least in what I imagine he would care about, I think his work really has empowered living, breathing, actual on-the-ground faith communities to engage more deeply with their theology, and then from that to become advocates for change in the world around them. Now, it's sad to hear of his passing. He was something like 92, so in that sense, it's not unsurprising, but I have no doubt that Brueggemann will be one of those voices that will transcend his life and continue to inspire more hope, more scriptural engagement, and hopefully more actual action toward justice in the world. If you've not come across his writings, absolutely, I'm going to recommend you pick up Prophetic Imagination, but Praying the Psalms is also excellent. An Unsettling God is a personal favorite. And I would also check out An Other Kingdom, Departing Consumer Culture, and then maybe Interrupting Silence, God's Command to Speak Out. This is a really important voice in contemporary theology. Walter Brueggemann, well worth your time.